Hello, hello, hello. This is Hallie, your host of My Sister's Closet podcast, and I'm the sister you always wanted but never had. So, sisters, what are we going to get into today? Well, I want to tell you, and it's not exactly what you think, okay? So, I want to talk about ghosting, and I'm not talking about you talk to somebody on Tinder and you think it's going to go well, and then they say something super cringe, and you just kind of let it go and you don't respond anymore, or you don't hit them up again. Yeah, that's one form of ghosting, but that's not exactly what I want to talk about. And there are other forms of ghosting, and you find those happening in like friendships, girl groups, bromances, and all those things. Um, I'm sure that you've experienced ghosting. I've experienced ghosting. I've been the person ghosting somebody, and I've been on the receiving end of it. And neither are super um, exciting. And I know a lot of people that say or make people out to be the villain if they're the person who's ghosting. But I want to go deeper than that. I want to talk about other, like, more aspects of ghosting and what that really looks like and why that may happen. So let's talk about what ghosting is. And that's honestly when somebody gets cut off. Um, no communication with no explanation. In friendships, you're not texting back, you're not calling back, you're not showing up for the events that's typically happening. And honestly, when you experience ghosting, it's basically, it's not a fun experience. And getting ghosted by a friend is its own like way, like you have to grieve that. Those things that when they're ending, you have to grieve that. And it's super regretful and it can be heartbreaking for a lot of people. I know it's been heartbreaking for me before. Um, but that's what ghosting is to me. You're canceling plans. You're not acting the same towards that person anymore. And it starts to take a toll on the relationship and it's going to do some damage. Okay. Um, so from the person who's giving the silent treatment. So I guess the side of the ghoster. Um, a lot of the time, you know, people are not ghosting to be cruel. They're not ghosting to be evil or be the villain in the story. But I think a lot of the time when people ghost, it's like out of preservation for yourself. It's like, oh, I have to protect my peace. I'm just going to stop. I can't handle it. So I'm just not going to respond. And even if you intend for that not responding to go like just a little bit, sometimes it has a tendency to go a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Where it might be weeks, months, years before you open that back up. And so other reasons for ghosting may be, you're afraid of someone's response. So you just don't even say anything. Um, you feel like you have said something, but you've been unheard. And it's like, well, what's the point? What's the point at this moment and even saying anything or continuing the conversation or the friendship if nothing's about to happen, if nothing's going to change? Excuse me, I got to fix one. So if nothing's going to change, sorry, I have some stuff here. If nothing's going to change, what is the point in responding? What's the point in reaching out? I did pull like a Reddit example, and basically like there's a woman who ghosted her best friend of 7 years because every time she expressed hurt, her friend would start crying and flip it on them. And so she ended up um, apologizing for bringing things up, and eventually she just stopped reaching out. And I think a lot of us have experienced that from the story, from the example I'm pulling from. She had said, I didn't ghost her to hurt her. I ghosted her because every time I tried to be honest, I got punished for it. And it can be hard. It can be hard to feel like when every time you reach out to say something that's not easy, but you feel like you need to be honest about something or have a boundary. If every time you're putting that boundary out, every time you're speaking about how you're feeling and you're getting ignored or someone's flipping out at you, okay, I'm probably not going to keep reaching out, probably not going to keep putting myself out there when the reception of it is just so angry or so frustrated towards me or maybe even violent. And we do have to be honest about that stuff, that when that stuff happens, if we're going into, if we're going into freeze or fight or flight, like not everyone can handle that. And so sometimes you do just give up and you do just say, okay, it's not for me then. I'm just going to quietly exit. And sometimes the other people who you may be ghosting may just let it be too, just fizzles. But that's from the ghoster side. That's why, and those are just some of the reasons why someone may ghost. Feelings of being unheard, feeling like you may experience a blow up if you do say something that the person, your friend on the other side, may not like. And then to protect yourself. And then because you're so exhausted from different conflicts in that friendship that you just cut it off. So there are multiple reasons. Um, Excuse me, I need some a drink. And so next I want to talk about from the ghosted side, okay, from the person who is being ghosted. And like I said, I've been on this side before. Um, it's exhausting. You don't know what's going on. You get confused. You probably have grief, and you're just like, okay, what what did I do? Was the friendship even real? Um, why couldn't they just call me? Why couldn't they just reach out and say something? Um, and I've been there too. I've wondered why people wouldn't just reach out to me if they had a problem. And it is a feeling of grief because you feel like, was I not important enough? Was the friendship not strong enough to have a hard conversation? Were my feelings not valid or accepted by said person? I don't know. You just have to start thinking like, what's the point? What did I do to deserve this? Right? You start going into the self-pity part. And I've been there. I've felt that where I start being like, oh my God, what did I do? This happens all the time. Oh my goodness. Someone hurt my feelings. They're ignoring me. They've ghosted me. And all those feelings are valid. All of it. All of it is completely understandable. I felt them. I'm saying them now. But on top or through all of that, sometimes the signals were there. They were given. The signs were there. You didn't see it. I didn't see it. I didn't receive what they were putting down. And, you know, it's like somebody said, okay, being in this group chat, I don't want to be in this group chat, y'all. Get me out of here. It's overwhelming. I don't want to do it. And then, okay, cool. But then you added her back. You kept tagging her in things. She said she wanted space. And then you kept making plans. You kept pushing the envelope and pushing your friend. And then she's like, okay, I'm not being heard. No one's listening to me. So then she ghosts. She leaves the group chat. She leaves or cancels the plans. She doesn't respond when you ask to do the plans. And both feelings on both sides of being ghosted and ghosting somebody, they're both valid. They're both real experiences. They're both things that we all will deal with and go through if we're lucky and not so lucky. I think that there are reasons and that there's also other, you know, reasons that people may ghost. And so I want to talk about how sometimes or some of the things that may lead to ghosting a little bit more in depth. And one thing I've noticed is that I struggle with tone a lot. Or maybe not even a lot. I think also people struggle with people being straightforward and people saying what they need as well. So, it's not all on me. It's not all on the people around me. It's not all on the people around you. We all have different communication styles. People receive communication differently. All those things play a part in friendship. And when it comes to ghosting, there are a lot of things that come into play with that. And so tone and then deflection, right? Some of the reasons that people fight that the reasons or some of the ways that people will fight, people will use your tone against you. And whether that be for the right reason or the wrong reason, it is what happens. And so I'm going to say friend A and I'm going to say like friend B. And so just follow along if you can. So say friend A brings up something that hurt them. Okay. Friend B deflects it. Okay. So this is not just about tone, but also deflection. Okay. So in this instance, friend B, who's being not confronted, but someone's bringing something up to them, they deflect. They cry about it. They flip it back onto the person. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so upset. Like, this is really hurting me. Da da da. And now they're crying. And now friend A has to apologize for bringing up what hurt them in the first place. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I'm just going to drop it. It's whatever. But is it really whatever? So in that moment, nothing gets resolved and it repeats. And then eventually friend A is going to stop trying, which leads to silence, which leads to ghosting. And in the tone example, boom, friend A is talking, bringing this stuff up, saying what is bothering them. But friend B is saying, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not going to listen to it because I don't like your tone. I don't like how you're saying this. It's not okay. I can feel that you're being accusatory towards me, which is another type of deflection, which is being dismissive of the person who is trying to share hurt just because that person didn't like how it came across. So instead of actually dealing with the issue, they made another issue with how it was given. And that's a choice. You can choose how to receive things. If you see that someone is visibly upset, yes, it would be, people have said you can catch more flies with honey, but you also have to be resilient enough to deal with people when they're upset. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But when people are to their breaking point and they just need this conversation and you're not willing to because their tone or because you want to deflect it, the cycle happens again. Nothing gets resolved. It repeats. Eventually, friend A is going to get upset or fed up with the situation and not reach out anymore. When that person is not reaching out anymore, the ghosting begins, right? So the ghosting is the receipt, but the cycle was the purchase, okay? When you choose to continue the cycle of things not getting resolved, well, that's what happens. Things don't get resolved and people get fed up. People can only wait so long before things get resolved, before they just kind of, and it doesn't have to be about tone. It doesn't have to be about deflection. It can be about so many things of just not feeling heard in a friendship. And it's hard. It's hard out there to communicate with people. But I think you have to give a lot of grace to people. You have to be willing to hear people out, even if you don't like the delivery. I know people say like they're coaching people how to deliver stuff, but please be aware that when you shut down somebody for being brave enough to bring a hurt to you, even if it wasn't delivered well, that is a line being drawn if you are not going to go back and try to bring it back up. Don't leave it on friend A to try to resolve this. Even if you didn't like what friend A said or how friend A said it, don't leave it on them to bring it back up when they're calmed down again, because you've already shut them down once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And eventually they know friend B is not somebody that I can come to when I'm upset. And that is a boundary and a line that if you can't have the hard conversations, how are you going to have a friendship, a sisterhood, a community? And so ghosting isn't always villain behavior, but it's not always the only option, okay? So I have a real question for you. If you've been friend A, when did disappearing in a friendship feel safer than speaking? Because that's essentially what happens when you ghost somebody in a friendship, that your silence feels safer than telling somebody that you were hurt. And that's really terrible. For the person that gets ghosted, ask yourself, was there a pattern that I wasn't seeing? Was there a pattern that I was ignoring? That I was dismissing? Both of the people in this scenario, friend A and friend B, deserve grace. Both people, all people, deserve to be seen and heard where they are and met where they're at, right? So ghosting is rarely just about being cruel. It is typically when someone is so exhausted with the conflict, with trying to be heard and being ignored. They're so exhausted with those experiences that they have nothing else to do but pull in and away. And it's hard. And I do want y'all to answer that. At what point did disappearing in your friendship feel safer than speaking up? And if you're the person who's been ghosted, at what point were you missing the patterns and were you missing the signs that were being given that people were giving up in the friendship and in feeling safe with you? Are you a safe friend? I don't know. I think I can be a safe friend. I think that there comes a time in every friendship, if it gets deep enough, and I'm not talking about the friends that you just go out with or have a few drinks with or, your acquaintances. I'm talking about the people that you do life with, the people that you do community with. Are you working towards being able to give those people in your life grace? Are you working towards being able to hear the hard things and receive it and respond to it? Or are we going to stay stagnant and let someone's tone, be the reason that someone disappears from your life? So I don't know, guys. This was an interesting topic for me. I think it's one that I'll probably talk about again at a later date, but I thought that this would be a very cool sister series of what sisterhood is not. And in my opinion, sisterhood is not ghosting. So that's my opinion on that. And that's the tea. So anyway, love and light and love God. Oh my goodness. What was I trying to say? Anyway, bye guys. Until next time. And also, if you liked this episode, like, follow, comment, share with a friend. Ooh, I felt cheesy saying that, but I did it. So anyway, I'm peacing out.